This is Chaplain Larry Parks. Welcome you to the Temple Ministry live broadcast. Pretty eyes, nice lips, ugly heart. Sleeping with the enemy. Curling up with snakes. How to have a good night's sleep. Battered, bruised, and bitten. Change your socks, change your mind, change your friends. Toxic friends, drained people, 30 days to be someone else. God's drawing board in heaven. Sick, syrupy salvation. Get some dental work. Christianity has no teeth. Not physical harm, but to speak the truth. Stand up, speak up, keep up, shut up. Follow the money, you can follow the fellow. If you follow where your money goes and what you spend is who you are. So we're going to be discussing some of these things. I've seen some marvelous results of really being honest with people. I was in a Messianic Korean church one time and preaching on fake healers and false prophets and all that other kind of stuff. And after it was over with, then I had people wanting to talk to me. A lady said, will you pray for my mother? And I said, well, absolutely. What's going on? Well, she had a stroke. She's 85, has a stroke. And I look back over there. She's all curled up in the chair. And I said, sure. So I went back there, sat in the chair, bless her heart, all bent over, couldn't even look up. And the Holy Spirit started dealing my heart about some things to pray for her about. And it was almost like in commands. And I was arguing with God about this. I said, I can't be commanding this lady. She's has this stroke going on, and here I am, 200, and I'm not going to tell you pounds. And so anyway, what I started listening to the Lord finally, and I had her take me by the hand. So I put my hands under her hands, and I said, squeeze my right hand, and she did. And I thought, wow, well, maybe it was a stroke on the other side of the brain hemisphere. And so I said, squeeze my left hand, and she did. And then the Holy Spirit started giving more instruction and everything. I'm not a woo-woo guy because I've seen enough of this nonsense dog and pony shows, false preachers and teachers, and it's just like the snake oil salesman, except now we've gotten fancier plumed horses and a bigger wagon to run around. But it's the same program they had in the 1800s out in the West. But we just gotten fancier. So the Holy Spirit said, have her lift her head up and a command. And so I did that. And I said, lift up your head. And she did. And I said, look at me. She looked at me. And then the next command was square your shoulders. And she squared her shoulders. And then as these commands kept coming, she did it. And so the Holy Spirit was doing my heart, tell her to stand up. And I thought, and it was really strong, command her to stand up. And I thought, good night. And so I commanded her to stand up. I said, stand up. And she did. And this was after church, and people were just walking around and milling around and talking. So she stood up. Everybody was shocked. I was shocked. And you say, well, you shouldn't have been. You ought to believe God. Look. I'm a guy. I love the Lord. Sometimes God heals. It's his plan to do it. Sometimes the presence of God there is healed, sometimes not. But she stood up, and I said, run with me. And she ran with me, and I tell you what, pandemonium broke out in the church. People started lining up with me. I look at the preachers. This is like on TV, and I hollered out to the rest of the crowd. I said, don't look at me. I'm just a dude. God did this. And he didn't have to do it with the bass drums and the smoke machines and the laser lights and some kind of celebrity. God did it because of the message. It's confirming the message that you don't need all that nonsense. God can heal and do whatever he wants to do with whoever he wants to do it to and for whatever reasons. And it's always for his glory. And I said, so don't look at me. I'm a spectator in this too. It was wonderful. Lady healed from a stroke. Praising God, lifting her hand up, praying in Korean. I didn't know what she was saying. She knew what she was saying, and the rest of the folks that were praying, they knew not only Korean, but crying. And, man, I was a spectator in this. So I know the power of God in this, and just by being truthful and being honest, and that's what we're going to do on this broadcast.